Hi guys, hope you're all doing well and welcome back to our series of Microsoft Intune. And in this video, I'm going to talk about Intune App Protection Policy. Now, if you're watching this series from the beginning, in the last video, we have discussed about the theoretical part moreover related to Intune App Protection and how exactly data is protected inside an application. Whereas the agenda of this video will be knowing how to scope users for MAM or for Intune app protection policies, how to create Intune app protection policies, what will be the user experience, and how to check if a particular Intune app protection policy is applied for a specific application or not. So for the lab session or for the setup, I'm going to use portal.azure.com. There is also a new portal which is available that's called Endpoint Management Portal, and that is devicemanagement.microsoft.com. I will also be showcasing you where exactly you can find Intune App Protection Policies option on this particular portal. Then we'll verify whether the required group is being scoped for MAM or Intune App Protection Policies or not. We will be targeting four applications: Outlook, Word, OneDrive for Business, and Edge. To show you guys what will be the user experience, I will be using iOS device. Now, since this will be a complete lab demo session, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to my browser where I have already signed into portal.azure.com. So this is my browser where I have already signed into portal.azure.com, and the first step is to verify whether the group for which I am targeting MAM or which I am creating app protection policy, it's been added in MAM user scope or not. So for that, what you have to do is you have to click on Azure Active Directory and then click on Mobility, MDM, and MAM. The first option that you'll get here will be Microsoft Intune. Now, the moment you'll click on Microsoft Intune, this second section that you see here is actually targeting the respective groups. So if you are targeting or if you are creating app protection policy for a specific group, make sure that that particular group should be added here. Then only the policies will get applied to the respective set of users. Now, there are two ways to create Intune app protection policy. The first one is click on Intune, then click on Client Apps, and as you can see, now I'm getting the option of Intune app protection policies. The second one is to click on Intune app protection directly, and you will be redirected to the same console. Now, as I have shown in the deck that there is one more portal called Microsoft Endpoint Manager Admin Center. This is the new portal which has been recently released that can also be used to create Intune app protection policy. Let's say you want to create app protection policy from here. So what you have to do is you have to click on apps and then click on app protection policy. Now, this option, which is create policy, which is showing you three platform, whichever console or whichever portal you will select, the options that you'll get from here, they are identical. It's just that you can use different portal or different link to customize the same settings. So now let's proceed and create an app protection policy. So for that, what I have done is I've clicked on app protection policy. I clicked on create policy and I selected iOS as a platform. Now the first option that I'm getting is name. So I'm just going to type app protection policy for iOS, and in description, I'll type this is a test policy, and then I'm going to click on next. The first section that we get here is apps. That means what kind of device you are actually targeting. This means that the policy that I'm going to create, which is this policy, it should get applied to which kind of device. Now, by default, the option which is selected is yes. That means whichever policy I'm going to create, that will get applied to managed or unmanaged devices, both of them. But if you want to target the policy to a specific type of device, you can actually click on this drop down and select which device type you are targeting. In my case, I'm just targeting every device. It doesn't matter on which device a user is signing, the app protection policies should be applied. The next option is select public apps. So as I've addressed before, that we will be targeting four applications: Outlook, Word, OneDrive for Business, and Edge. Now, there is a very specific reason why I am selecting Edge, because Edge is the application which will let you know how to troubleshoot or to check whether a specific app protection policy is applied to a specific application or not. Now I'm going to click on next, and this section that we see here is data protection. Now the first option that I get here is backup org data to iTunes and iCloud backups. This actually means that whether you want the user to be allowed to back up the enterprise data to their public iCloud storage, which you should block, and most of the enterprises keep this setting as block. The next option is send org data to other apps. That means if I'm using Windows Word, which is a protected app, and I created a document over there, whether I should be able to import that document to other apps or not. So the answer is obviously you should either select it as none or select policy managed apps. If you will select as none, then the document which is created by Word would not be able to export it even in the protected Outlook app, that you should not want from a user experience perspective. So that's the reason the best setting which is available for this option is policy managed apps. Now, from the list of 4 or 5 policy managed apps which are as of now protected on the device, there is any application which you want to exempt, you can actually select it from here. The next option that I get is save copies of org data. Now, when I am creating a Word document from a protected app, where exactly you want that data to be saved. So if you want to customize that setting, you can actually choose only OneDrive for Business. So in this case, what will be the user experience, that if I'm signed into a Word document, which is a protected app, and I'm trying to save a document, I should only get the option of OneDrive for Business. And that's exactly what I'm going to demonstrate. The next option is receive data from other apps. Usually this has been set as all apps, but if you want, you can select policy managed apps, or if you want, you can select as none. Now, these are the common settings which I'm going to showcase you, and I'm trying to create a most restrictive policy, but all the options that I'm not covering here, you can try it in your lab. And if you have any questions, get back to me in the comment section. So for receiving data from other apps, if I'll select it to none, then again, no application can receive data from other apps, even it is a protected app. So again, the best setting will be policy managed app. Now restrict cut copy paste between other apps. Here I'm going to simply select block. That means copying information even between policy managed apps is blocked. I'm trying to showcase you as many as possible the use cases or the combinations of different settings, so that when you try this in your tenant with a specific set of users, you should get the appropriate result. I'm not going to limit any character because I have straight away blocked the copy paste between different applications. I'm also blocking third party keyboards. The org data should be encrypted. You can sync contact to your native contact apps. That's a very generic requirement. If you want, you can block printing org data, which I have just blocked. And then there is one more option which says restrict web content transfer with other apps. Now, what does this actually mean? That if I'm using an Outlook app, for an example, and I received an email, and that particular email contains a web link. Now, Outlook is a protected app, but I may be using Safari on my iOS device. Now, the moment I will click on that particular link, Safari will open and I can access that particular link. Now, you want this link to be open in a protected browser. Now, you have two choices. The first one is Intune Managed Browser, and the other one is Edge. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to restrict this to get open in Microsoft Edge only. So, what will be the user experience? I'll send an email to my test account, and that email will contain a particular link. The moment I will click on that link, if I have already installed Edge, the link will open in Edge browser. with the protected instance. But if I don't have Edge, it will prompt me that Microsoft Edge is required for you to open this particular link. Now, if you want, you can actually allow or block org data notification, which in this case, blocking them doesn't make any sense. So I'll keep it as allow. So these are all the settings that can be done from a data protection perspective. We have covered now two sections. The first one is app. The next one is data protection. Now I'll click on next and I will be redirected to access requirements. Now, the first option that we get in access requirement is PIN access. Whether you want a PIN to be set up to access a protected app, you can select it as required. And if it is not required for your enterprise, you can just select not required. But in my case, I'm selecting it as required so that I can show you what will be the user experience. The moment data is protected inside an application or the app protection policies are triggered, user will be prompted to set up a PIN. Then you can define what kind of PIN you want, whether it would be a simple PIN or you want a specific restriction. If you want, you can simply block simple PIN as well, but these are moreover settings related only to PIN. If you want Touch ID to be used instead of PIN access, you can allow that as well. Override biometric with PIN after timeout. If you want, you can require, or if you want, you can simply select as not required. This is the timeout activity after which the user will be prompted either to enter PIN or to choose biometric to get the access for the protected application. Face ID is also now available, but it is only available as of now with iOS. Then after how many days you want the pin to be reset, you can also define that value here. I'm not going to make any changes over here because this is moreover related to access requirement. This can be very specific to your enterprise and you can customize as per your requirement. App pin, when device pin is set, even if the device has a pin set up, then also you require the app pin to be set up so that the user can get access to the protected app. And this is exactly what I'm going to demonstrate. Don't select this option as required because every time the application will be launched, the user will be prompted for credential. Now, this is a very important setting, which is the last one, which is recheck the access requirement after minimum time of activity. If you want, you can reduce this time frame, but I'll keep it the generic one itself. Now I'm going to click on next, and this section is conditional launch. Now there are three keys which are already defined, but there are ways to have more keys in place, and for that there is a respective article by Microsoft which has a lot more combinations, which I will be sharing in the description section and which you can review. The first one is maximum pin attempts, after which a reset pin action will be triggered. Then for how long you want offline access to be available for a particular user. Then you want offline grace period after which the data will be wiped. Now this setting that you see here is moreover related to jailbroken device, that if there is any device which is rooted or jailbroken, the access should be blocked. Now I'm going to click on next, and the last option that you get here is for assignment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to include the group that's the same group, which is Intune MAM. I'm going to select that particular group from here. Now, this is assignment. This is different from scoping. Scoping means whether a particular user is entitled to use a particular feature, which is Intune MAM app protection. But here exactly you can define different groups. In fact, you can create different app protection policies for different group, and then you can get the assignment done appropriately. Now I'm going to click on next, and I'll get a generic summary of the entire policy that I have created, and I will simply click on create. So as of now, the policy, the app protection policy for iOS is created, which is being scoped to 4 different applications. I'll just refresh it so that the deployed section should turn it to yes because the assignment is completed. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to project my phone and I'll show you how exactly the user experience will be. So this is my phone where as of now none of the protected app is installed, and what I'll do is I'll launch App Store and I'm going to install the first app, which is Microsoft Edge. Now in a nutshell, we have actually targeted four applications: Edge, Outlook, Word, and OneDrive for Business. I will install four applications and then I will resume the video. So as you guys can see, all the four applications are now installed. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to launch Outlook and then I'm going to configure my email account. And once the email account is configured, I will draft an email and then I will try to copy paste that information from Outlook app to the Notes app of my iPhone, and let's see whether that copy paste works or not. So I've entered my password as well and I'm clicking on sign in. It'll take a couple of minutes since it is the first attempt. I'll do it maybe later, and I'm going to click on turn on. Now I'll click on allow, and this is the prompt that confirms that the app protection policies are applied to this particular application. If you are not getting this prompt, then rest assured that app protection is not working for that particular user to which you are targeting or for that particular group of users. This is an acknowledgement that means MAM policy is applied. Now, what does this actually say? That your organization is now protecting the data in this app. You need to restart the app to continue. The moment I will click on OK, the application will get closed. And now what I have to do is I have to again launch the same application. As you can see, your IT admin is now helping you to protect work or school data in the app. The moment I'll click on OK, now I am getting prompted to set up the pin. This was one of our requirements, as well as I'm getting a prompt that third-party keywords are blocked for this particular account. I'm simply going to acknowledge this particular prompt and then I'm going to just set a pin so that I can get the access. As you can see now, I am getting the access to Outlook app. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on new mail and I'm just going to type something here, and let's copy all this information and try to paste it into a Notes app, which is not a protected app, and let's see what we get. And as you can see, I'm getting the prompt which says your organization's data cannot be pasted here because this is something which has been blocked by the app protection policy. Now let's come back to our Outlook app and try to open a particular link. But before I show you how a link is accessed, so what I'll do is I will be clicking on any of these hyperlinks which are getting highlighted here, so that this should act as a use case wherein a web link should only be opened in Edge. But before we do that, let's see whether we are signed into Edge or not. So as you can see, the automatic sign is already done for my user account. If I go back and I'll click on this hyperlink, this should get open in Edge. And as you can see, I can now access this particular link, which is a part of my email. Now let's see what will happen if I will sign out from this account. Let's come back to Outlook. But before that, there was a prompt on the Edge app. And as you can see, all the org data has been removed from this particular app. Now, if I go to Outlook and I click on privacy statement, it is again going to protect this app because MAM policies are getting triggered for Edge as well. So these are all different use cases which I'm going to showcase you, or I'm trying to showcase you, in fact, so that you get a better understanding of how exactly app protection works. In a nutshell, if any application is protected and it's been scoped, it has to comply the policies which are already defined. So now since Edge is protected, I'm clicking on privacy statement, and as you can see, this link is opening again. So our policy was that the web link should only be open in a protected app, and that's what the user is experiencing as of now. So this was all about knowing how different Intune app protection policies work, how you can have different kind of restrictions applied, and what will be the user experience. Now there is a link which is very important and which gives a lot more insight about Intune app protection getting applied to different set of applications. And that is this first one, which is about Intune help. Now the moment I will click on this particular link, I'm getting two options now, get started and view Intune app status. Now, the moment I will click on this, you can see I'm getting different applications listed here, and I can actually check for which application, what kind of Intune policy is being applied, what was the last time the policy was checked. So if a specific app protection policy is not getting applied for a specific set of application, you can come here and check the required details. So now let's talk about a quick summary of what all we have discussed. We have discussed how to create Intune app protection policies, what will be the user experience, how to check if a particular app protection policy is applied to a specific application or not. In the next video, I'm going to talk about Intune Selective Wipe. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time. Bye bye.